Welcome to the Wonder Boldly podcast, hosted by yours truly, Christine, founder of Drizzle Academy. I am going to encourage and motivate you to take action towards your big goals. I'm going to teach you everything I've learned from building a very successful 25-year career, coaching people, and starting my own online business. I am going to give you so many action items. You are going to be able to wonder boldly. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So happy to have you back here for another episode of Wonder Boldly. And today I am so excited to introduce my very new friend, Wendy Harrop, owner of the Phineas Wright House. And just recently getting to know her, and we were talking, she was helping me with some of my market research, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this woman is the epitome of Wonder Boldly. So I got brave and I said, hey, Wendy, new friend, would you like to be on the podcast? And she graciously accepted. So I am so excited to introduce you to Wendy. I'm going to turn it over to her. Let her introduce herself, and then I'm going to be asking her some questions, and she will be sharing her experiences, maybe some challenges she's had, and some advice she has for you listening who might be wondering what's something you could do because you want to take action. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wendy and let her introduce herself.
Well, thank you so much, Christine. It's fabulous to be here. I'm Wendy Harrop. I'm the owner of the Phineas Wright House, which is an antique farmhouse in Bolton, Massachusetts. So we're in rural Mass, about 30 miles west of Boston. So I have to pause when I'm speaking directionally because I've only been in Massachusetts for 7 years. I was born and raised and lived my entire adult life in California. So when you're in California, when you go west, that's closer to the water. And when you're in Massachusetts and you go west, that's away from the water. So it's kind of like if it's not your first language, you have to translate a little bit in your head before you can answer a question. So that's what that pause was. I do know where I live. That's just
Right.
So, and I've wanted to live in Massachusetts my entire life. So even though I was born and raised in California, my mom is from Lowell, and my parents met in the Navy in Newport, Rhode Island, and moved to California. My dad's from the West Coast, moved to California just a few weeks before I was born. So even though I'm native Californian and most people move from the East Coast to the West Coast, I always wanted to come the other direction. I just think it's so beautiful here, and it's hot when it's supposed to be hot and cold when it's supposed to be cold. And it is just beautiful. So I'm happy to be here.
Would you come to this area to visit when you were younger or anything?
Yes. So all of my aunts and uncles are here. All of my cousins are here. My mom was the only one who moved away, and she was one of 6 kids. So to be in California only with my parents and siblings felt very small, and I just yearned for these family traditions and to be out somewhere and run into your cousins. Like that was completely foreign to me, and it sounded so dreamy. So I'm really, really excited to be here now and to be able to live in this beautiful place that we can host all of said family anytime they want to get together. So that's a great thing as well.
Do they come out and visit?
They do. And no one's really far away. Well, I take that back. No one's really far away in California standards, but in Massachusetts standards, if you don't live in the same town, then that is far. So they do make the trek. It does not take that much time, but a part of us purchasing this home was we wanted a space that we could use as an event venue. And so that's what the Phineas Wright House is. We live here, but we also host weddings and milestone events, as well as workshops in our antique barn. So we moved from a condo in the San Francisco Bay Area that was built in 1986 and moved into a farmhouse that was built in 1785. And that is a big difference. But
yes.
we are loving all the discoveries that we make on a daily basis, and just trying to be good stewards of this piece of history that's been entrusted to us. And at the same time, knowing that really from the first time that I pulled in the driveway, I imagined people walking around with a glass of champagne in their hand and just thought, this place is too much goodness for one family. It needs to be shared. And I'm sharing it with as many people as will have me.
Oh, so nice. I love that. How did you find it? So were you looking for a place when you were in California on the West Coast?
Yeah, so I was actually looking for a bed and breakfast. So I've been a wedding planner at that time, had been about
California?
23 in California first. So for 23 years, I was a wedding planner there. And I was looking for a bed and breakfast because I wanted to bring the same level of excellence that I bring to events or weddings, but with the expectations to be much lower, because I wasn't planning your wedding. I'm just making you French toast on a Tuesday morning because you're staying at my inn. So I was really excited about that. And I had looked at several properties, and as it got closer to us actually making that purchase, my husband was looking for not a bed and breakfast. So we decided he just didn't want to come home to my to-do list. And I didn't want that for him either. And it was actually hard to find a really cool property that was still close enough to a big city for him to work, because this is my dream, not necessarily his. So he was still going to have his corporate job. And anyway, we decided that we would expand our search to include a property that we could use for special events without having the day-to-day of a bed and breakfast. And this was the only house that we looked at that was not a bed and breakfast. And I stalked the property. He was traveling, he was in California for work, and we were renting a small place in Concord. So I stalked this property, and then I came here with my agent, who was also my cousin, and she had gone to all the bed and breakfasts with me as well too. So she knew what I was looking for. And so we saw this property, and then Keith came home from his trip to California, and we showed him this property and made an offer that afternoon, and it was accepted that night, and that was it.
I have chills.
I know.
Wow.
It's so great.
Oh my gosh. Were you so excited? Were you beyond?
So excited. And, like I said, we came from California. So the fact that it was, it's white with a black door, and it's an antique, and there's a barn, and there was a canoe in the rafters, an antique canoe. It's an old town canoe. It's probably, I don't know, 125 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And there were birds making a nest in it. It's like, oh my gosh, I'll take it. Like, it's just so dreamy and not California. So I think I was definitely enamored with like all the charm. We had never lived in an old house before and had never lived in New England before. So we are definitely learning as we're going. We probably would have made a different decision if we had more information, but I'm glad we didn't, because I'm happy to be here and we are figuring it out. So
meaning, like, in regards to the house itself, like cold, and I'm sure it's like, it must be freezing in the winter and hot in the summer.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And 235 years ago, they didn't have central air conditioning.
Right.
And there are just things you don't really think of when you're looking at a place that you're so excited even exists. So, but like I said, we're figuring it out, and we're loving that process as well.
Nice. I love that. So tell us about the business side of it. So as we all know, during the recording of this, we are living in very complex times with the pandemic. So that has shifted, I'm sure, a lot for you. So if I may ask, if you can start with your story from the beginning, before we are here in the pandemic, like what was your vision for the business originally?
Certainly. What I consider myself a curator. So I like to do many things, but I'm also really excited about telling other people's stories and sharing all the fun, fabulous things that I learn about. I want to share that with other people. So what I was doing in the barn is I was hosting intimate interactive workshops that were led by a master of their craft.
Mhm.
So I partnered with a florist farmer, and she came and did floral design workshops. And I had a master gardener come and do talks. We had some hand lettering expert come, and we did some modern calligraphy. We've had a wine and cheese tastings we partnered with a local cheese shop and a local wine shop, and then they came together and brought their magic and invited. That one was a little bit larger. We did 20 for that, so we had 10 couples to serve as a date night. But all of these other workshops are like 10 to 15 people, so very intimate, very interactive, very special. And another thing that I would do were seasonal barn dinners. So I have these beautiful tables. We had a local guy make farm tables out of the third floor hayloft from the barn. So we took the third floor hayloft down, so this beautiful 200-year-old wood, and he made these gorgeous tables. So we lined them up down the center of the barn, set it for 20. You come, bring your own wine, bring your favorite person, and make 18 new friends. And then I was cooking dinner and we have this huge garden. So I would cook dinner just based on whatever was growing. And then I would locally source the other items that we didn't have growing on the property. So that's been just such a dreamy thing to do. I crave community, and I love that I have this space that can foster community.
Right.
So that's been really fun. We had some artists that are doing different, I'm not an artist, so I don't know exactly like what you're supposed to call that.
Me neither.
Bringing her magic, and people are signing up to hear her magic and do that. So we have had some plein air painters come and just be around the property and paint what they. Of course, I'm like buying all of their paintings because I just love seeing what other people see when they look at my house. I love also being where we're situated in town. We're right on Main Street. So people, when I tell them which house is ours, they'll, oh, I know that house. And so many people have a story of an experience that they've had in my house or on this property from before I lived here. So I love that. It's just like, I love anything with a story, and nothing's old in California compared to here. So it's just really dreamy that I've had that opportunity as well, and just to share the space.
Yeah, I wonder if there are people out there, or maybe you already know, that have like actually pictures of being in the house for things or whatever. That would be so cool.
That would be cool.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine like pictures of them celebrating something or whatever in your home?
Right.
Yeah,
that would be fun. Yes.
So cool.
I did meet a woman on the trail walking our dog, and she said, "Oh, I've been to puppet shows of Greek tragedies in your barn." Like, that is random and awesome. Like, I just love that so much. So, a lot of fun things have been here. The woman who owned the property for 50 years, she was 2 owners ago. She was a horticulturist, and there were many formal gardens on the property that are cataloged at the Smithsonian Institute. So it's really fun to look up those gardens and try to
Right.
see like, oh, wow, I see where that could have been here. And
Right.
it's just really, it's wonderful.
So
In fact,
cool.
her daughter, so she moved here in like the early 50s. Her daughter was in 7th grade or something. She is our neighbor. So she grew up in our house, and she's
Ah,
79 years old now. She's our neighbor. She's a Shetland sheep farmer. And
oh,
so it's amazing to have her as just this docent of
right.
our home. And she has all the beautiful pictures. And both
Yes.
of her sisters were married here. So
Oh, I
it
love
already
it.
has a history of weddings. So of course I want, besides the workshops, I, love to have weddings here, since that's my
Right.
passion, and was my career for such a long time as well. So
Thank you for that. That is such an amazing story. And I'm thinking, and so I'm listening intently to this story, some of which I knew, and now I'm learning even more, which I'm loving. And also, what I'm hearing is you brought this skill set of a wedding planner, and I'll use I'm thinking like an event planner, but wedding planner, like so Uber, right? And you're bringing it here, but then you're also saying, well, then I'm in the kitchen cooking for 20 guests. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, is that just because you love cooking, or how does that
I
come
love
to
it.
be?
I love it. I love it. And I love 20 is my max. Like, I'm not a caterer. That's
Uh-huh.
just, I just enjoy cooking. I have a dear friend. He's my daughter's godfather. He is formally trained chef. He was trained in Paris, and also a master gardener. He's just this amazing human, and he actually never cooked for profession, only for passion. So a couple of times in our friendship, we've lived in the same town, and so he would say, I feel like cooking, invite people over. Okay. So it
Okay.
was just magic. And so now he lives in France. He retired and moved to France, and so he's just cooking and gardening. And so he is definitely my muse, and we chat every day. He'll start sending me messages in about 20 minutes, because he's 5 hours ahead, and that's when he's making dinner. And so so he's just taught me so much, and to
Uh,
embrace this fun thing. And then my husband's growing all this produce, so I just I Keith tells me what's ready to be harvested. I tell Jeff, he tells me how to cook it. I invite people, everybody
oh,
wins. It's just
oh,
so good. So I really, really love that.
I love that. So tell us, so now let's jump ahead or jump to current times. So maybe this is the time for the question of challenges. So here you decide. So you've done a lot, right? Even in this short amount of time that you're telling us this story, you like moved all the cross country, right? Found a place and moved, and then started this business, and then the pandemic hits, right? And so tell us about that.
So that was interesting. Um, so I had just met two lovely young women. One is an artist by profession and passion, and one is a DIY enthusiast. And they have all of these fun, fabulous ideas of things they want to do, but they don't have a venue. And I have a venue. So we collaborated and put together 40 workshops for this year. And we met earlier in the year. And it was at the same time that I was going through this phenomenal, intensive business course, which is where you and I met.
Yeah.
Kathy Heller's Made to Do This program. And so I was just an idea factory. So the fact that these women reached out to me, like, yes, the answer is yes, whatever you want to do. Yes, let's do it. So then, of course, the pandemic hits, and we've got 40 workshops on the calendar and can't do any of them. So I just changed all the dates to 2021, and now the 2021 calendar is all ready. So who knows if we'll be able to, it could be longer, but
Yeah.
that's okay. It's just a placeholder.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think instead of looking at this time as this is awful, I can't do anything I wanted to do, I just feel like I'm in this place like, okay, well, how can we spin this a little bit and how can we make this work? Okay, we have all these workshops, we'll just change the dates. Okay, check, done. Now what am I going to do with all this food? Because my husband planted this gigantic garden and it's just he and I and our 6-year-old daughter, so we can't eat all this food. So I took video of it one morning in May and it was looking beautiful and things were, we had just put everything in the ground because it's New England and you can't do that much earlier than mid-May. So I just sent out a note on Instagram. Okay, people, this is the garden. Someone needs to help me eat it. I'm going to do a CSA, which is a community supported agriculture. So it's essentially a farmer's way of sustaining themselves through the season. You have people prepay for, maybe it's 10 weeks of produce or 10 weeks of flowers or whatever. And that allows the farmer to buy the seeds and do whatever they need to do to grow everything. So in this instance, we had already done that. And everything was already growing in the ground, but I didn't know what else to call it. So I started offering these farm boxes. We also have chickens. We raise chickens. So and then I did this for contactless home delivery as well. So I would every week deliver produce and eggs. And then this year we had also my husband, he's amazing and works full time. He's a whole person. I don't know how he gets all of his things done and does all of these beautiful things on this property because it's 5 acres and it's a lot.
Yeah.
But he created this gorgeous cutting garden for me as well. So my florist farmer that I had been partnering with for the floral design workshops in the barn, she was actually retiring. So she retired at the end of 2019. She didn't realize what a genius that she is, but so he planted all these flowers so that I could just do the floral design workshops myself. So now I've got all these flowers and no workshops. So we added flower deliveries to our CSA. So I go into the cutting garden and then create bouquets and deliver them to my clients, which you are one of them. So that's very fun. And then I just thought, okay, I'm already in people's houses now, which is awesome. And what else can I bring? Like, what else are we missing during this time? And I do love to celebrate the weekend with a little cocktail. So I started adding to my farm boxes garden-inspired craft cocktail kits. So I would use different elements that were growing in the garden and create a cocktail. And so I provide all the parts and then send that to my client and tell them what alcohol should go into this other concoction, the other part of the drink that I've created for them. And then that was just meeting a need, in air quotes, need, a desire, since we can't go out for drinks right now because there were no restaurants open. So it's just been a really fun way for me to use my skills and my creativity and still have this connection, because I crave community and I crave connection. And even though I'm not physically seeing my clients and no one's coming, sitting at my beautiful farm tables in my gorgeous barn, in my heart and in my head, when I'm preparing these floral arrangements or the cocktails or putting together the produce boxes, I'm thinking about those people. And so I feel like I'm still connected to them. So that's been, it's completely filled a need for me. The other thing that we've done to be creative during this time is I was hosting in-person cooking classes in my kitchen. And that was really just a way to kind of stay on people's radar during the months that the barn is closed because it's not heated.
Yeah.
It's 100% charm, 0% climate control. So I was doing some cooking classes in the house, in the kitchen, and decided that I can still do those, but I would do those virtually. And then that just opened up everything because now geography is not an issue. If you want a little Wendy Harrop in your life, or you need some Phineas Wright House in your own house, now you can have it because it's available. So it's been great for my friends in California. I'm cooking with my friends in California, and we're not together anymore. So that's been so fun. So really, I thank God all of our people are safe and healthy. So I'm able just to really focus on the immense blessings of this time. My husband's working from home. We've been married for 20 years. We celebrated 20 years this year. We have not spent the amount of time that we've spent together since March outnumbers the hours we spent together in the previous 20 years. So that is a total gift. And for spending all this time with our daughter, and we're busy. This property neglect is the enemy. So we have plenty of things to do. We're at it all day long, and it's just been a real blessing in the midst of a really challenging time.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you really said that you feel blessed, because I know so many people are struggling or, dealing with some difficult things, and trying to make the best of the situation. It sounds like you really have done that. You really, really have done that. And you've added value to other people's lives, which I love that, right? That is so great. So for the folks listening, you just sound amazing, and all these things that you wanted to make happen. If people out there are listening and they believe in manifesting or praying or whatever your thing is, doing the hard work, you're doing it all. And I guess my question, because I know the audience, they'll be like, well, how did she do that? Like, what would you say? What would you give as advice to somebody who is maybe thinking about something of their own? They want to kick off some virtual art lessons or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. What would you say? What would your advice be for somebody?
I would say the number one thing that has helped me be creative and come up with these ideas is to surround yourself with like-minded people. So your friends and family are fabulous, but if they have corporate jobs or they are not entrepreneurial in their spirit, they will crush your dreams with just rolling their eyes or huffing or say, why would anyone pay for your cooking class when you can get that on YouTube for free? And if you don't have a band of people who speak that same language and are also fighting to not fighting but doing the work to push past that resistance, you will be crushed and you won't do what you want to do. So you've got to be in a community of people that are also trying to do this, and that energy is like kindling for a fire. Like you keep everybody else aflame, and it keeps your flame burning as well. And the answer to the question of why would anyone want to buy my cooking classes when they can go get it for free on YouTube is because it's me.
Yes.
And I am not free. And if you want me, you'll pay for my class. And if you don't, you'll go get it for free on YouTube, and that's totally fine. But you're not my person, so that's okay.
Exactly. I love that. Wendy knows that I just last night did a self-love masterclass, and that is perfect. I'm going to put that quote, because I'm going to be posting that. I'm going to put that quote from you in there. Yay. Because they're not me.
That's right.
Yes, and I am not free.
That's right. And either are you.
Right. Exactly. I love that. That is awesome. Oh, well, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Oh, I love you. This is my new friend, and I'm very blessed, and I feel badly because we know similar people from the program who aren't local, air quotes, and I'm able to participate in the flowers, and I'm actually getting delivery tomorrow. So
Yay.
Very excited.
Yes,
And
I was just cutting your beautiful dahlias this morning.
yay.
Yes.
And because we got together to do this podcast, I found out about the, what do you call it? The cocktail fight? I'm calling it cocktail.
Oh, yes, the garden-inspired craft cocktail kit.
Yes. I
Yes,
was like,
why
what?
flowers when you can have flowers and drinks.
Exactly. You are my friend.
That's right, I am.
Well, thank you so much. Before we wrap up, tell people how they can find you. Where should they go and find out more?
Sure. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at the Phineas Wright House. So it's Phineas, and then Wright with a W, WRIGHT house. And that's about it. You can go to the website, phineaswrighthouse.com, and find all the things. I'm going to be on Pinterest soon. But I'm just doing the best I can. So.
Awesome. Yes. You're being you. I love it.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I really appreciate it. This was so fun. Thank you. Thank you. That's it for this episode. Thank you again so much for listening. Please head over to Instagram to follow me there at Drizzle Academy. And if you want more of these types of strategies and so much more around reaching your goals, you definitely want to get on my email list. You can go to my website, drizzleacademy.com, and sign up there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did and want to share it, take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram. I'd love to connect with you. Until next time, continue to wonder boldly.